Today, I'm going to share the story of a girl whose innocent and beautiful face made her an overnight internet sensation. However, when people discovered the truth about her shocking crime hidden behind that face, they were left stunned. This story dates back to 2020. In November of that year, an old video of hers resurfaced and went viral. The original video was nearly 7 years old, filmed back in 2013. The reason it went viral in 2020 was her innocent and captivating appearance. But the big question remained, who was this girl and what crime had she committed? On the evening of August 27, 2013, Isabel's mother, Yumi Hoy, was returning home after finishing work at her studio. As she approached her house, she saw a boy jumping out of her daughter Isabel's window and fleeing over the metal fence. This sight brought back something her neighbors had often told her, that Isabel frequently brought different boys into the house when she was away. The neighbors had claimed these boys would jump out of the window whenever they heard someone arriving. However, Yumi hadn't believed them until that day when she witnessed it herself. Shocked, Yumi parked her car and immediately went inside with her husband, Ryan Hoy. They confronted Isabel in her room and asked her about the boy. Isabel, however, refused to answer properly. Despite her parents' attempts to talk to her, she reacted aggressively, yelling at her mother and even spitting on her face before storming out. This rude behavior deeply hurt Yumi. She was so shaken that she locked her bedroom door that night and stayed with Ryan instead of sleeping alone, which she usually preferred. Before diving into what happened the next day, let's understand how this story unfolded. Isabella Guzman was born on June 9, 1995 in Aurora, Colorado, to her biological parents, Robert Guzman and Yumi Guzman. The couple owned a photography studio called Bella Portrait Studio, named after their daughter, as they adored her deeply. Isabel shared a particularly close bond with her father, Robert. The family's happiness began to unravel in 1999 when Robert and Yumi's relationship turned sour. Their conflicts escalated, and they decided to divorce. Isabel was just 4 years old when her parents separated. After the divorce, Isabel lived with her mother as Yumi gained custody. While Isabel was naturally strong-willed and temperamental, the divorce intensified her defiance. She became increasingly stubborn and irritable, especially when her mother remarried a year later in 2000. Yumi's new husband, Ryan Hoy, became a source of resentment for Isabel, who felt her biological father's place had been taken by someone else. As Isabel grew older, her anger intensified. She frequently demanded expensive clothes and toys, throwing tantrums when her mother couldn't fulfill her wishes. Yumi, eager to provide for her, took on additional jobs outside her studio but still struggled to meet Isabel's growing demands. By the time Isabel was 16, her volatile behavior had escalated to the point where it became nearly impossible for Yumi to manage her. Isabel was sent to live with her biological father, Robert, but just a few days later, she returned to her mother. Despite this change, her behavior showed no improvement. When Isabel turned 18, she decided to leave her religion. Her parents, stepfather, and extended family followed the Jewish faith, a branch of Christianity. However, they did not celebrate Christmas, Easter, or even birthdays. This strict lifestyle likely led Isabel to abandon her religion, seeking freedom. She became a carefree girl who neither obeyed her parents nor attended school regularly. Instead, she spent her days roaming with friends and often disappeared for 3 or 4 days at a time. When her mother tried to reason with her, Isabel would argue aggressively. Academically, Isabel was an average student who barely managed to pass. In her 12th grade, her attendance was so low that the school expelled her just a week before the final exams. This deeply shocked her mother, Yumi Hoy. Despite numerous attempts to guide Isabel, nothing changed. Matters escalated on August 27, 2013, when Isabel did something unprecedented. She spat on her mother's face during an argument. That night, Yumi spent the entire night in fear. The next morning, August 28, 2013, Yumi checked her phone and discovered an email from Isabel sent the previous night. The email contained only 3 words, "You will pay." The chilling message hinted at revenge. Terrified, Yumi showed the email to her husband Ryan, and they decided to involve the police. Around noon, they called the authorities, who arrived shortly after. They explained Isabel's behavior and the email to the officers. Being a domestic matter, the police gave Isabel a warning, stating that if her actions continued, her mother could legally evict her, as Isabel had turned 18 in June 2013. After the police left, Isabel retreated to her bedroom while Yumi went to work at town center. Even at her workplace, Yumi felt uneasy and shared her concerns with her first husband, Robert Guzman, who still worked with her despite their divorce. Robert advised her to go home and talk to Isabel. Later that day, Robert visited Isabel at home. She was still in her bedroom and hadn't come out since the police visit. Robert took Isabel to the backyard and patiently tried to reason with her, emphasizing the importance of respecting elders, listening to parents, and avoiding stubborn behavior. For over an hour, Isabel silently listened, occasionally nodding her head. Robert believed she might change, but the truth was, Isabel was merely pretending to listen. Her mind was preoccupied with a plan she had likely already made. After Robert left around 6:30 p.m., Isabel returned to her room. Yumi came home around 9:30 p.m. after finishing her work. When she asked Ryan about Isabel's whereabouts, he mentioned seeing her in the kitchen earlier. Yumi went upstairs to take a shower, while Ryan stayed in the living room, having dinner. Around 10 p.m., Ryan heard loud thuds from the first floor, followed by Yumi screaming his name. He rushed upstairs to find the bathroom door slightly open with the shower running. As he approached, he caught a glimpse of Isabel inside. When he tried to open the door, Isabel locked it from the inside with force. Moments later, Ryan heard Yumi's desperate screams, followed by eerie silence. He noticed blood seeping from under the bathroom door and immediately called 911. On the call, he reported that his wife and stepdaughter were inside the bathroom and suspected that Isabel was attacking Yumi. While explaining the situation, he heard Yumi's final scream, "Oh God!" The line went silent. Shortly after, the bathroom door opened and Isabel emerged. She was wearing a pink sports bra and turquoise shorts, both soaked in blood. Holding a bloodied knife in her right hand, Isabel walked past Ryan without a word or expression. She exited the house through the backyard. Ryan entered the bathroom to a horrific sight. The floor was covered in blood, and Yumi lay lifeless and naked on the floor. Her throat had a deep gash, and her body was riddled with stab wounds. A baseball bat lay nearby. Ryan, still on the call with 911, attempted CPR as instructed, but it was too late. Yumi was pronounced dead when emergency responders arrived at 10:20 p.m. Her body was sent for autopsy. The police began searching for Isabel, who was nowhere to be found. The next morning, August 29, 2013, the autopsy revealed that Yumi had been stabbed 79 times, 31 times on her face and 48 times on her neck and chest. Further investigation later revealed the count to be 151 stab wounds, along with injuries from a baseball bat. This gruesome murder shocked the nation as news spread rapidly. Meanwhile, the police intensified their search for Isabel. Around 11:30 a.m., a 911 call reported a blood-soaked body inside a car parked at 2851 South Park Road's garage. When police arrived, the car was gone. However, evidence linked the scene to Isabel. Undercover officers were deployed in the area. 2 hours later, they spotted a girl wearing a pink sports bra and turquoise shorts leaving the garage. An officer approached her for confirmation and identified her as Isabella Guzman. Afterward, he started following Isabel. Shortly after, 2 other plainclothes police officers began walking alongside him. When they reached a bush in the parking lot, the 3 officers surrounded Isabel and pointed their guns at her. Even at that moment, Isabel tried to mislead the police, claiming they had arrested the wrong girl. She argued that the girl in the ID resembled her, but insisted that she was not Isabella Guzman. Instead, she said her name was Samanata Gojal, and she lived in Ohio. However, her clothes and the bloodstains on them clearly indicated that she was indeed Isabel. The police didn't believe her and eventually arrested her for murder 16 hours after the incident on August 29, 2013 at 2 p.m., just 1.5 kilometers from her home in a parking lot. But one question still remained. Whose dead body was in the car, and where had it gone? The answer to this was shocking. The dead body found in the car was not a corpse at all. It was Isabel herself. After killing her mother the previous night, Isabel had driven the car about 1.5 kilometers from her house to a parking garage near 2851 South Park Road. She then fell asleep on the back seat of the car. Covered in blood, her appearance led onlookers to believe there was a corpse in the vehicle. By the time the police arrived, Isabel had woken up and walked into the parking garage. When she reappeared, the police arrested her. After her arrest, Isabel was charged with first-degree murder and sent to Aurora City Jail under judicial custody. About a week later, on September 5, 2013, Isabel was scheduled to appear in Colorado County Court to face charges. However, that morning she refused to leave her cell. As a result, the court hearing was delayed until the afternoon. She was eventually forced out of her cell and brought to court. That day, Isabel's behavior was anything but normal. She refused to come to court, had to be dragged out, and once there, smiled and made bizarre faces at the media cameras. The county court judge charged Isabel with murder and violence and ruled that she would not be granted bail until her trial was concluded. 9 months later, in June 2014, Isabella Guzman's trial began. Since she was 18 years old and legally an adult when she brutally stabbed her mother 151 times, it seemed certain she would receive the maximum punishment, death penalty. However, during the trial, Isabel's lawyer presented a report from Dr. Richard Pons stating that Isabel suffered from paranoid schizophrenia. Dr. Pons testified that Isabel was mentally ill and unaware of her actions at the time of her mother's murder. Isabel believed she was killing a woman named Cecilia, who, in her delusions, appeared in her dreams and threatened the world's destruction. Judge George Browser considered the reports and testimonies, ultimately ruling that Isabel's mental health issues made her ineligible for punishment. Instead, she was sent to the Colorado Mental Health Institute for treatment. The court ordered that she remain there until she no longer posed a threat to herself or society, whether that took years or her entire life. Isabel remained in the Mental Health Institute for over 6 years. In November 2020, at the age of 25, she gave an interview to the media, claiming her family had mistreated her. She alleged that after leaving her religion at 14, her family's behavior worsened. However, investigations found no evidence to support these claims. Isabel also stated that she was not in her senses when she killed her mother, but claimed to have fully recovered now. Asserting that she was no longer a danger to society or herself, she said, "I was not myself when I did that, and I have since been restored to full health." Following the interview, public support for Isabel grew, largely due to her beauty and innocent appearance. Some even justified her crime, suggesting her mother deserved it. This reaction raised troubling questions about humanity's moral compass. Nevertheless, Isabel's interview helped her case, and in June 2021, she was released from the Mental Health Institute under the condition that she continued therapy and regular consultations with her doctor. In conclusion, regardless of whether Isabel's actions were driven by anger or mental illness, it is disheartening to see how people overlooked her crime because of her appearance. Crimes should be judged based on actions, not beauty, wealth, or status. This was the story of Isabella Guzman. What are your thoughts on this case? Share your comments, and if you like this story, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and like and share this video. Stay tuned for more sensational stories right here. Take care, stay alert, and goodbye.